Hi, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to Light a Joint with Ida. Today looks a little different. Uh, my car battery wouldn't start, so we're doing Zoom, and apparently because of COVID, Zoom works now. And today I am joined with my friend Anqunette Sarfoh. She is the founder of Qulture, but you have so much more background to share with us. How are you doing today?
No complaints. No complaints. Yeah, just it's a beautiful day. It's not too hot yet. So the sun is shining, the breeze is blowing. So it's only what? It's only 11 o'clock, and I've got my joint ready to smoke a joint with Ida. So
All
life
right.
is good. Life is good.
Nice. What do you got that you're going to smoke?
Oh, this is strawberry gelato from
Oh,
my soon to be released line on Culture. So,
okay.
so this is grown and cultivated by Waha Premier in Jackson. So they are some great guys that I'm fortunate enough to partner with and bring some beautiful terpene rich flower to provisioning centers near you.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
So, can you tell me what you're passionate about?
Oh, I used to be passionate about the news, and now I'm pretty passionate about cannabis, and not just everything about cannabis in particular, but showing people that they have alternatives to traditional medications. Don't get me wrong, traditional pharmacopoeia has helped a lot of people and has prevented a lot of disease and illness in our world. But I do feel that we've gotten to the point where uh, medications are overprescribed,
Mm.
and we've lost track of how our ancestors, our people, our relatives have used plant-based medications for a very, very long time. So like thousands of years. And so I'm passionate about reconnecting people to the way things used to be,
Mhm.
a healthier way of living that is also more affordable. um, I talk to a lot of people who are pretty much being bankrupted by the cost of pharmaceutical medications, and their doctors are not telling them there are some other interventions that we can consider, like diet, like doing things for different exercises, like physical therapy, like cannabis, like not just cannabis but other plant-based medications. I tell people, if you're having like a hard, if you're dealing with stress and anxiety, by the way, have you tried ashwagandha?
Right.
It's not just, I mean, weed is a wonderful plant, but it's not the only plant in your natural remedy toolbox. And so I'm passionate about getting people to realize that there are other alternatives to pharmaceuticals, and there are other alternatives to feeling crappy all the time. So let's find a way to get you feeling better, and maybe that's cannabis, and maybe it's not. Maybe that's you need to add some more kale. Mix in some bone broth. Uh, are your joints aching? Have you
Right.
tried cherry juice? Um, you
Right.
know, so yeah, I'm passionate about that. No, definitely, definitely. I'm passionate about helping people figure out what works for them.
hmm And I love that because the common theme, amongst people in the industry, it's about health, like
Mhm.
overall health. And I love that you're encompassing the whole body because it is the whole body. It is our environment. It is our food. It is our stressors. It is pharmacies if we choose to go that route, or there are natural medicines. And I love that you're bringing awareness and education, and the quality of life. That's so
Mhm.
important.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Thank you. So, real quick, I'm smoking Lilac Diesel. This is from Real Leaf Solutions. I got this up
Okay.
in Alaska
Ooh,
from Tom and Krista Beller.
okie dokie.
Yeah. So, Q, I want to say, I believe that we met at, oh goodness, it was a dinner.
Mhm.
Do you remember what the dinner was? I believe it was something Rick Thompson had a
Oh, well, did we? Because I my memory is so bad. So the one that was at in Ann Arbor.
I was it Ann Arbor? Maybe it was.
I don't know. I remember. I guess my first memory of you was at it was the announcement of something. I can't remember what, but we were in Lansing,
Okay.
and it's I can't remember what it was for, but it was this some big announcement. I got there late because I was with I picked up someone, and she wanted to bring all kinds of stuff. But anyway, what I remember about that day was your dog.
Oh, okay.
because because I was like, oh my God, it's a Saint Bernard. Oh my God. I want to go over and pet the Saint Bernard. But no, no, he's a working dog. Or is it a he or she?
Yeah.
He was like, she's a working dog and she's, working for Bella. So I was like, okay, well, let me not get in the middle of her job.
Aw.
And let me just, I want to just like so go over there and like give her like some rub on the on the ears. I love big dogs, and so I
Yeah.
see a Saint Bernard. I'm like, oh my God, a Saint Bernard!
I know. The biggest service dog I could possibly get
Right,
for the littlest, tiniest girl.
right. And then she was her protector. So two
She
girls.
was. She
Yeah.
was. So I really remember meeting you. Jamie Lowell just piped in and said it's the MCBD conference.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, I don't know what that stands for, but I remember I sat with you and your husband Richard, who I love
Thank you.
both of you. You're so cool.
I love you too.
Um, and yeah, and we just were able to talk and communicate, and just I felt like at that dinner, like we just really connected on a deeper level, and
Yeah,
friendship just kind of blossomed from there.
I hear you. Yes, and it
Yeah,
keeps on blossoming.
I know. So Q, where are you from? Because you're not originally from Michigan, are you?
Nope, I'm from right down the highway, Gary, Indiana. So,
Okay.
I'm not too far, just three and a half, actually 3 hours and 15 minutes if I'm really flowing with traffic. So,
Girl, you got it timed.
yeah,
That's
3
awesome.
hours and door to door, but yeah, so just 3 hours down the highway.
Okay.
All my family is still there, so which is
Nice.
good. It's good to. Well, granted, my sister doesn't need a babysitter so much anymore, but it's nice to be, close enough to get to your family if something happens, but far enough so that they can't call you at the last minute saying, "Can you, can you do this?"
Right, right.
So
So
yeah.
how was it growing up for you? What was your family's, stance as far as cannabis, and, did religion play into a factor into that for you?
Really. I mean, my mom, my mom is a church woman who grew up in Canton, Mississippi. So, she's I remember her doctor told her that she should start maybe having a little bit of red wine. And she bought white Zinfandel. And I was like, no, Ma, this is not red. So my mom's not a big drinker. Probably not doesn't drink really at all. Well, I mean, if I say let's have a glass of wine, she may have a little bit, but not a drinker. Definitely not a smoker.
Okay.
My dad was an electrician until he retired at U.S. Steel, so he really couldn't, partake. But I remember him always saying, "I can't wait till I retire. I'm going to smoke. I'm going to smoke." And of course, by the time he retired, he had COPD,
Oh
so he
my
can't smoke. But he enjoys the edibles. My sister, she's in healthcare, so she doesn't. But I did give her a Delta 8 gummy, and she freaked out. Because she's never, she's cannabis naive, so
right.
that was a lot for her.
Okay.
No, I mean my family was, I tried it in high school, but it was always very, very simple. It's criminalized in our community.
Hmm.
So it was like, look, if you want a future, don't do it. And
Right.
so
Right.
so we didn't. I didn't. I had a boyfriend in high school, and um he was an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And I remember, he would I tried it, with him once, it wasn't my thing. I felt like this feels all right, but it just makes me, crave Hawaiian punch and fish nuggets. And
That's quite a craving.
no, right? But it was very particular. It's very specific. I was like, no, I right now I really need Hawaiian punch and fish nuggets from JJ's Fish.
Are
So,
specific.
yeah, yeah. So I was like, I don't need this. At the time, I knew that I wanted to go into journalism, and all the girls are like this thin. So the guys can be whatever, but the girls are all real thin.
Right,
I was like,
right.
well, I don't need anything that's going to give me the munchies. So I didn't really do it. So fast forward, I don't know what, wow, 30 something years. Um, and every once, I lived in Vegas. I didn't really do much in Vegas. Yeah, it's just I remember even before I was diagnosed, whenever I would smoke a joint or have a puff from somebody else's, it just it made me think a lot. And I would think about the things that were really irritating me. So
Mhm.
I found that it kind of made me angry.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and so, but there's the thing, it's like you're angry because it's bringing stuff to the forefront that you need to deal with.
Right, right.
And, so, so I was like, I don't need that right now. So I put it aside, and I really didn't pick it up again until I was diagnosed with MS and was nauseated all the time,
Mm,
had no energy, and and after, and also the MS affected my stomach, the stomach spasms, which would cause me to throw up nonstop. And so after the third trip to the hospital to stop the unrelenting vomiting, my husband just said, "Why don't you smoke a joint?" And I smoked a joint, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what? I'm not a, I'm not. I don't feel like living in my mom's basement. What? I've been lied to. I've been bamboozled." So, so yeah, it actually gave me energy. I have black wood floors, which I would caution anyone to never do that.
Black
So,
wood floors?
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
our floors are black. And so, and I have 3 dogs now, and so every every bit of dog hair shows up, every footprint shows up. And so, to keep them looking nice, you'd have to mop those floors all the time. And so I realized that cannabis was working for me when I would come home from work. And before, I would normally just come home from work, and that would be like 10:30 a.m. because I'd be at work at like 6. Actually, I'd be at work at 3:30. But
Oh my goodness.
yeah, but I would come home and normally crash, but once I started, vaping Gorilla Glue,
Mhm,
um, I had energy, and so I would be able to, mop my floors after work or walk the dogs. And I
mhm.
was like, oh, there's something to this. And the nausea relief was instantaneous. That was the big one for me. It's like, what, I can take 2 puffs off of this vaporizer and the nausea is gone. I don't have to worry about, taking my really effective pharmaceutical anti-nausea medication, Zofran,
Mm,
which was great. But Zofran causes birth defects, by the way.
yes,
So,
it
so if you're, of childbearing age, keep that in mind because, as we now know, our options are limited.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So
yeah.
can you go back real quick? Can you explain what MS is?
Sure. MS is one of the, actually is the most common autoimmune condition. Well, it's one of the most common autoimmune conditions, and neurodegenerative diseases. So, in MS, my body is attacking itself, which is what makes it an autoimmune condition. And
Okay.
so, my body in MS, your body attacks the myelin sheath in your nerves, in your brain and spinal cord. So myelin is, think of it as a cord, an electrical cord. So myelin, this would be myelin. It protects all those wires in the inside. And in MS, your body attacks this myelin, and so it eats it away. And then you have lesions. You have spots where your nerves are now exposed, and that causes all kinds of things. So anything from a loss of mobility to, well, in Europe they call it the 10,000 faces because they're literally 10,000 things that MS affects.
Mm.
So
Well, because it's whole body.
right, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, and depending on where your lesions are, like for people who have more lesions in their spinal cords, they tend to be the ones that are more affected for their mobility. My lesions are primarily in my, I think the front part of my brain or something, and so that deals with memory loss and oh, I don't want to use all these big words that I'm going to mispronounce, but I think it's called like neo-perceptive. Basically, the things that your body does automatically. So I have oh, that's so heat intolerance, for example. All of a sudden, I can be just fine, and then it'll feel like I'm on fire. It's like, I guess, like the worst hot flash, or that it'll be hot in a room, and I will be freezing.
Mm.
I'm usually shivering and sweating at the at the same time. It's really irritating. And so yeah, so there's that. And right now I'm dealing with like a lot of, this is too much information, but I'm going to put it out there because people will need to know. MS right now, it primarily affects my bladder function. So I'm constantly going to the bathroom. And that's like at night, it's crazy because I'll stop drinking fluids, 2 hours before bed. And last night, I'm pretty sure I was up 8 times.
Oh my goodness, you poor
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like, and
Wow.
the thing and it's an actual condition, so it's like, I had to, like, I look up everything, like, "What in the
Yeah,
world is going
yeah.
on?" And yeah, so it's called, nocturia or something like that, and so it's, your body actually produces more, fluids, water, at night. So it's like my body is cranking out.
And all you wanna do is sleep.
Right, yeah,
My
yeah.
goodness.
It's crazy, I was I realized something was wrong because my legs stopped working. One day I came into my house and I face planted. My legs just like, nope, not gonna work anymore. And so yeah, they just came out from under me and I was like, oh wow, just found myself on the kitchen floor.
Okay.
And it's like, yeah, all right, that's odd. And then I have, the numbness, and that's what really encouraged me and made me decide to look further into this and get a neurologist and have an MRI and two spinal taps and all of that. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Wow. So if we can kinda switch back a little bit, where did you go? Because you said you were a news anchor and
Mhm.
broadcaster. Where
Yeah.
did you go to school for that?
Butler University in Indianapolis. I'm a Butler Bulldog, which we have actually
Nice.
quite a few Butler alumni and Butler students here in this area. They do big events for them right before they go off to school. So yeah, there are quite a few Butler Bulldog alumni in this area. But yep, I went to Butler on the 5-year plan,
Okay.
double majored in journalism and radio television. And then yeah, I got my first jobs in West Lafayette, Indiana, a very tiny town, and then South Bend. I worked for the NBC station owned by Notre Dame, so it
Mhm.
was fun to have my check signed by a priest.
That would be kinda cool.
Yeah, I was like, "Thank you, Father."
Right.
So
That's neat. So how long were you, a newscaster for before your MS diagnosis?
22 years.
Oh, goodness.
2 years. It was a good career. I had a lot of fun. I got to live in different places, saw different parts of the country, covered great stories, met great people.
Mhm.
Yeah, and actually, I'm one of the lucky few who got to got to have my dream job. Since I was in second grade, I knew I wanted to be, a newscaster. I grew up watching Chicago TV, so Bill Curtis and all of those, legendary figures. And yeah, so I from second grade, I was like, I wanna tell stories on TV. I can't believe people get paid to do that. Um,
Ah, that
so
is so neat. So, yeah, one it's really interesting and wonderful when you hear somebody say that their dream actually did come true.
right. Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because we all have those little dreams that do come true. It's just sometimes we don't recognize them.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
It's very fortunate.
Yeah.
Very, very fortunate.
Yes. And then what transitioned you? So what led you to look into cannabis instead of the traditional, pharmaceutical route?
Mhm. When I was diagnosed, I went from taking actually just one pharmaceutical. I was on Adderall at the time because I was misdiagnosed as having adult ADD.
Oh my
And,
goodness.
but you know what? I have to say, because I know I I tend to be quite negative when it comes to the pharmaceutical industry for good reason.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
I second that.
but it's not all bad. And then Adderall, when used appropriately, was a phenomenal pharmaceutical, and it really helped me. It helped me stay in the workforce. And so but the thing is, I didn't need to be on 80 milligrams because that was spiking my blood pressure.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But yeah, so I went from just being on Adderall to being on 9 medications. And then like one was my disease modifying treatment for MS. It was a drug, it was an injection every other day or 3 times a week. And that injection, the retail price of that was $93,000. And while I had insurance, I just felt that that's just criminal.
Oh my
That I'm like, okay, so somebody is paying 90, whether it's me or my insurance company. You guys got some little, um, pricing agreement or whatever, that the list price for this drug is $93,000. And then there are others, like the more recent MS drugs are $125,000 a year. Yeah. And
That's
so,
mind-boggling to me.
right. And I just felt that was criminal. And I was just like, even if I don't know if I want to be a part of that, it's like, even if it's helping, and again, and it wasn't. And that was the thing. I was taking all these medications and I just felt worse.
Mhm.
So, and after the third trip to the hospital, that's when my husband said, okay, smoke the joint. And that's what everything changed for me, because I went from being on, Adderall, Baclofen, Flexeril, which are muscle relaxants, Zofran for nausea. They even prescribed me Prozac because it got to the point where, and the news is depressing. I'm gonna just put it out there. And I
Yeah.
would be at work, and I would read my stories and then go in the car and cry, and come back. And it's like, this is I called my nurse practitioner, and I was like, this is really strange. I used to be able to get through all these sad stories without falling apart, and now I can't. And she was like, well, we can put you on Prozac. And I was like, oh my gosh. Is there a solution that does not involve a pharmacist? Can you give me anything? And so when I was up to 9 pharmaceuticals, and they weren't helping, that's when I was like, okay, well, and then I realized that the cannabis did help. And it was sort of like, as they call it, the gateway. It was the gateway to feeling better.
Right?
If cannabis is a gateway drug, it is a gateway away from stuff that doesn't work.
Right. The gateway to quality of
Yeah,
life.
so yeah, it's a gateway drug, all right. It's a gateway to feeling better. It's a gateway to feeling good.
Right. I like how you flip that around. Let's keep it.
Right. Yeah, so I started vaping Gorilla Glue, and that helped. And then I started looking at I'm like, well, there's something to this.
Mhm.
And then I'm a nerd, and so I Google everything, and I'm looking at I'm joining. There's greenmedinfo.org, and that's where you can find all of the clinical trial results that this country won't publish.
What's it called?
Green Med Info.
Green Med Info.
Mhm.
Okay.
They compile all of these clinical trials, and again, because if you go to your doctor and say, I really want to try medical marijuana, I want to try cannabis, they'll say, oh, no, not enough. Yeah, not enough studies. And I was like, actually, there are 25,000 studies.
Wow.
That's not published here. But as you know, the Israelis are doing phenomenal cannabis research. The Spaniards are doing fantastic cannabis research. So yeah, it's out there. You have communities. You have poorer countries that are looking into cannabis medications because they're looking at their Medicaid dollars, or they're not Medicaid, but their public health dollars, and they're trying to find a way to make their populations healthier. They're turning to cannabis versus pharmaceuticals. And so, in some countries, they're telling people, here are some seeds. I can't remember which one, but some country just legalized and sent seeds to everybody.
I know, I feel I wanna say it was like Thailand, but I don't think
Right,
it's
I think so. I think, yeah.
yeah, somewhere like that. That's
Mhm.
incredible.
Right, and
That's
when
a
you look at the data, in states that have legalized cannabis, or they have legalized medical marijuana programs, their Medicare spending, decreases on average 30%. So if you have all of these, people with arthritis realizing, oh, I don't have to take these pain pills, or I can take fewer pain pills,
right.
because pain pills are also still effective,
Mhm.
but you can use cannabis as a way to make your pain pills more effective.
Exactly.
So, and that way you won't have to use as many.
Right.
Because right now, I'm working with a lady, and she's in her 70s, and she has been on morphine since 2001. She's
What?
she's been on morphine since 2001.
Oh
And,
my god,
yeah, yeah.
21
Mhm.
years?
Yep, she's taking 45 milligrams 3 times a day. And if she misses a dose, she instantly goes into withdrawal. And she knows, she's like, I this can't be healthy. And so we've already, titrated her down to, let's, like, okay, so if you're taking 45 3 times a day, let's see what happens if you know, take a Delta 8 gummy, and let's do half of your dose and see what happens. And that's been really effective. And so we can slowly, titrate her down, because there's a good chance she's going to be on morphine for the rest of her life. And morphine is actually a plant-based medicine. It's just what
It's
we've done with morphine.
right.
you know
Yeah.
the opium poppy is, nice plant.
Exactly.
Used appropriately. And
Yes.
so yeah, so we can find ways. I always tell people now, you don't necessarily have to pick and choose, and this is especially the case when it comes to cancer. If you find people who are willing to work with you, and I know finding oncologists that are willing to work with you can be tough,
Mhm.
but a lot of people are having fantastic results by using cannabis-based products along with their chemotherapy drugs. So there's a lot of research out there. It's available online. I always tell people, there are two sources that I always go to. Obviously, um, projectcbd.org and Americans for Safe Access. And they're at safeaccessnow.org, I believe.
Mhm.
So those are always just two impartial groups that can give you some really good information on how to get started using cannabis-based medications.
Mhm. Well, and it's so important, there are a lot of advocacy groups out there, but it's
Mhm.
also understanding that we are our own advocates. We have to empower ourselves with
Mhm.
knowledge to understand what's available to us instead of just kind of blindly, leading and being told what we're supposed to do. And
Right.
it takes a really strong person to stand up and say, no, like I want to research this route and go this route.
Mhm.
And that's awesome that again that you're helping patients and again you're bringing a quality of life and that's so important to people because you know
Right. Yeah.
so okay, so how did you transition from your career in TV into the cannabis industry?
At the beginning of 2016, I had an MS relapse. And even before then, my doctors were saying to me, you're probably gonna have to start considering retiring. I'm like, what? No, I got a cush gig. Just
Right, right.
sit here
Live
and
the
pay my
dream.
bills. Right. you know. But my neurologist at the time, he has since passed, but my neurologist at the time, Dr. Khan from DMC, he came he came on set one day. I interviewed him and his wife, which is a nurse practitioner, and he was looking around and just seeing the behind the scenes TV life, and he said, "You need to hang this up. This place will put you in a wheelchair." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yes, stress, 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 stress. And even good stress is still stress." So when, they're saying to you, you've got breaking news to cover, when they're saying to you, we have this interview coming up and this interview has just fallen out. So, stretch, talk about nothing, until we figure out what's going on.
Right,
All of
right.
those little adrenaline rushes
Mhm.
actually exacerbates your condition.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, I'm like, oh man, so having fun makes it worse. And it could be, but and then I had that relapse, so I went through a relapse and took some time off and ordered some cannabis cookbooks
Okay.
and 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 decided that after I was off for 6 months and actually kind of going through the legal short-term disability into long-term disability, which is a whole other conversation. But when we had everything all wrapped up, yeah, I on Halloween 2016, I put out my Facebook video and then thanked everybody for um, helping me have a fantastic career and supporting my dream and keeping me employed. and uh, and and said that I use cannabis as I outed myself. I came out of the cannabis closet and told
Public
people that.
life, yeah.
Right, yeah. I said I've been using, cannabis. I'm a medical marijuana patient. I'm now a caregiver. I've been using this for a while, and it should not be illegal. And you really shouldn't have to register with the state and give them all of your information just to get something that's a plant. And on top of it, you shouldn't have to give up your Second Amendment protections.
Mhm.
Because people don't necessarily realize that when you get a medical marijuana card,
Mhm.
you're telling the federal government, you're admitting to the federal government that you are a drug abuser, not user, abuser. And while I'm a believer in a medical marijuana cards, and I still have one, I felt that was incredibly unfair that I had to give up my CPL to get my medical marijuana card.
Right.
But yet I was on meth because Adderall is the same chemical composition as methamphetamine.
Exactly.
Let me get this straight. I can be on meth, I can be on all of these muscle relaxants, and no one cares about that. I can drink until oblivion. I can have a mental illness and still get a gun.
Mhm.
But yet, if I choose to use a plant to stop throwing up,
Right.
that's wrong. And now you're a druggie
Mhm.
and you lose your rights. And
Right.
so I felt I'm like, no, let's just get around that. Let's just make it legal. And
Mhm.
that way, if you want a card, if you want that extra protection, and wonderful. But if not, if you want to go and get a pain cream that has some THC in it, you shouldn't have to tell the state your name, address, and all that for that.
Especially when it doesn't even get you high.
Exactly. Right.
That's the
Exactly.
crazy part.
Yeah. Yeah. So I told him that I was joining the legalization efforts. I joined Am I Legalize
Mhm.
at the time, and yeah, and I was surprised because I was thinking, oh great, people are going to be like, she's a druggie. I knew it. I knew she was high, and I was never high on air. I did not use before air before work, really because I was terrified of forgetting everything, and I already had memory loss. So why would I do that? But
Exactly.
but yeah, so and people have been incredibly supportive and incredibly supportive, and so that's been that I guess the most surprising blessing because people are so mean.
They are.
And especially on Facebook, like, oh, here we go. But
I
no,
did
people
have a friend just recently tell me though, "Ida, it's just Facebook."
right. Yeah,
And I was like, "Oh my god, like, you're right."
and that friend is right, but it has become such a part of our lives, and especially as a younger person, because I just think I'm so glad I wasn't a teenager when Facebook was around, because the thing about everything being put out there on social media is that it never dies. And
Exactly.
so, all the embarrassing things that we did, we had the fortune and grace to be able to, with time, all that stuff disappears. But I mean, it would be horrible to be 40 something and have the stuff that you did at 16 come up to influence your career
Well, and why should it though?
and it shouldn't.
Because again, we all make mistakes. We
Hmm.
all grow. We all learn. We don't know what we don't know until we know it.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, and it floors me how we can call each other out on stupid shit when
Hmm.
we do it ourselves. And it's like, wait
Right.
a minute.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
who is throwing the stones here? Because again,
Mhm.
we all live in glass houses.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's good to keep that. I'm going to have to remember it's just Facebook, because I remember when I was working and I was off and someone was filling in for me, and that person said that they were filling in for me, and people just wrote all this horrible stuff about take her place and blah blah blah. And so I pulled over because I was driving home from Indiana. It's like, and my Richard called. He says, what's up with all these people on Facebook? And I'm like, oh well, let me see. And so I pull over, right? I am parked on the side of the highway reading these comments and bawling. I am crying. I'm like, this is everybody hates me. Maybe I
Right.
should retire. And again, it's just Facebook. It's
Mhm.
just people sitting at home with nothing better to do than to be on Facebook and say, let me comment on this, which is
Right, right,
what
right.
I
It's
do
like
too.
Jim
We
who said
put
that.
yeah, we put too much emphasis in it. We put too much stock in all this stuff.
We
And
do.
yeah, and it's causing a lot of anxiety. Um,
It does.
mhm,
Well, again, you're not just living, next to the Joneses that you're trying to, one up, but
right.
we're
Mhm,
you're trying to one up somebody on Facebook too.
right,
And that's the thing is like we don't post like, when we're depressed and when we're
right.
crying, no
Mhm,
makeup. We post the happy memories.
right.
And
Mhm,
yeah, that is a lot for people. It's stress.
yeah, right. It's totally stress. Again, he's like, nope, leave it. Oh
Well,
well.
good for you. Okay, so you were with MI Normalize, Michigan Normalize, and
Mhm.
you're still with them, aren't you?
Well, no, they've just. I'm with Normal of Michigan.
Normal of Michigan, that's right.
Yeah. So am I legalized? I don't think that was Jeff Hank's group, because Jeff Hank, he was behind what, two or three ballot initiatives.
Okay.
So yeah, so am I legalized? They were working the ballot initiatives at first, and then they were denied ballot access in 2016, and that's what it became a 2018 thing. And
Okay.
that's what really kind of got me fired up too, because I was in Flint for that hearing, and I just remember the judge saying, you're right, you guys, you earned ballot access, but now it's too late, and so you're not on it. And I'm like, this is what? you know?
Acknowledged it, and then they still took it away.
Yeah, yeah. And so we had to start all over, and so that's Am I Legalized partnered with the Marijuana Policy Project, and then that became the Coalition to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol, was turned into Prop One. So,
Right,
so
right.
yeah, so
Well,
all of that.
yeah, cheers. Let's go ahead
Oh
and
yeah, cheers. Oh yeah, because we're 30 minutes into it, so I don't have to remember anything else now, right? Okay.
no, you're good, chick. I've enjoyed talking to you. It's like, wait, we got a light.
And it's funny. So Penny Moonbeam Milky, up at Northern Specialty, she had this post about the correct way to light a joint, but she didn't say the correct way to light a joint.
Oh,
So so how do I do it so that I don't get those, what do you call them, zoomies or
oh,
trails?
oh, from the
Yeah.
yeah. Penny.
Oh,
Well, Penny says hi, by the way. Hi, Penny.
hey, she's on. Oh, sweet. Hey.
Penny, we need help.
Hey. Oh,
So you opened up a dispensary too at one point.
yes, but
Okay.
or what people like to call Botanicue.
Botanicue. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was just Botanic, with the
Okay.
Q, but still, it was, yeah, but it was Botanic. No, it was, I love Botanic. I love the people, who visited us at Botanic. I loved so much about that place, but, um, business is business,
Mhm.
and, as my lawyers and my husband said, no, all partnerships end. I'm like, really? It's like, oh, okay. So my husband and I were approached to join the team that had Botanic, and help them get licensed. And so we started a PR campaign. We talked to people in the community, got a bunch of signatures, and were able to get licensed. Richard and I had some disagreements on how things should go with our main investor. He was in Colorado, but so he wanted things run one way. We were in disagreement. So Richard and I eventually became silent partners, and then we got an offer from an out of state company to buy everything. And so the group was like, "Hey, here's an offer. Let's take it." And I
Right.
was like, no, because it was beautiful to me. At first, we worked hard to get licensed.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful facility.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. I mean, there are things in Botanic that I want in my new house whenever I build it.
You had a personal stake in it. It was a
Yeah,
part of you. Yeah.
yeah. The guy who the a guy named Vince designed it. He did a fantastic job. He's a beautifully designed space. Um, but yeah, but when you don't agree with your partners, then that's an issue. And we were lucky that we had an offer that we all agreed to take. So I was like, it was wonderful to not just have that place, but it meant a lot to me that Botanic was on Rosa Parks Boulevard. And
Um,
so, yeah, so to have a place on Rosa Parks Boulevard
right.
in Detroit, to be a Black woman own
Yes.
a business on
Yeah.
Rosa Parks, but not just any business, a business in which we were criminalized for so long, and to have it on a block named for a civil rights icon. And here we are still, not on a, it's still fighting for a civil rights because we know there are too many of us locked up
Right.
still.
Right. Yes.
So we're still, in that vein. And
Hmm.
it meant a lot to me to have that business on that street in particular, and all of the employees we had, our team, we had the best team. We had a phenomenal group of workers. I love those guys. And when I told them that we were selling, and then I drove I drove I had to meet a friend for lunch. So I drove crying all the way from from Detroit to West Bloomfield. Cried all the way. Had two of my plum martinis. Were they
Those are good.
martinis. They were fantastic. And then got so sick, threw up all night.
Oh.
Threw up all night. So yeah, so that's how selling Botanic went.
Well,
But
it was devastating.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but the silver lining was the check.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
okay.
Right,
And,
right.
that gave us some time to delve into other things. And so after we sold Botanic, um, realized that, okay, well, that's when I started the CBD line, because there were so many products. I learned a lot from having Botanic, and I would look at these products and I was like, why is everything isolate? You
Yeah.
know, why is every like you guys have this big processing facility. Why are you taking out all the good stuff?
Mhm.
you know, and that's what again is so great about living in Michigan, and having resources like Project CBD and Americans for Safe Access. They give you recipes.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
was like, okay, so let's just figure out what to make you feel better.
Right.
So let's make you a pain cream. Let's make you a salve. Let's make you a tincture. Let's make
Mhm.
you some sugar. Let's make you some honey. you know,
Oh,
let's put this stuff in everything and see how you feel. And so yeah, so that was the silver lining. So it gave me the opportunity to take a step back and see how can I be beneficial and useful, and how can I fill some gaps that I noticed in the industry.
mhm.
So I and since then, Qulture, the CBD line, has we're growing. I've grown from having what, I don't know, so maybe like 8 products to like almost 20 now. I've expanded my tincture line after, going taking a med, because there all this research is coming out. So it's like, you have, if CBD doesn't work, try CBDA, which is
Right.
great for seizures and nausea and more effective for pain. You find out all the stuff that they're researching about, what do you call it, about COVID. They found that CBGA and CBDA prevent the COVID virus from it sticking on your cells. So guess what? Culture's going to have that tincture in a week.
Oh my goodness.
So
Okay.
yeah, so that's what's it's funny to go to these conferences, and so also too, not having Botanic has allowed me to, do more research and find out what else is out there. So you go to these conferences, and they're medical conferences. So I take my sister with me so she can decipher all the Latin.
Right.
But I'm writing. It's like, so if the doctor's like this, and they give you dosing, which is fantastic, and so like,
Yeah,
I'm
it is.
like, yeah. So I now have a 1-to-1 tincture, because if you have MS, I famously, people who reach out to me with MS know that I'm going to say, well, there is this drug called Sativex, that is legal everywhere except America. Um,
Oh,
yeah, and Sativex is by GW Pharmaceuticals, the same people who brought you Epidiolex, which is we'll talk about them later. But yeah, so Sativex is a popular MS treatment all over the world, and Sativex is a 1-to-1 oral spray of CBD and THC.
of course it is. Are
Mhm.
you kidding me?
Did you not? Yeah. And so there's a video somewhere. I tell people, look, you can make your own Sativex. Take your take your favorite brand of CBD. Buy a vial of RSO.
Okay.
Yeah, shake it up, heat it up, shake it up, put it in there, and you have a 1-to-1 tincture now. Um,
Dang.
yeah, and so that's why I now have, because I can sell Delta 8 THC.
Mhm.
I am going to introduce a 1-to-1 tincture, to help, but to so people don't have to make their own homemade Sativex if they don't want to.
Right,
Um,
right.
and it'll be priced the same, so it'll be, cost effective.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I've had the opportunity to expand my product line, which is fantastic. And then also now, in about a month or so, I'm introducing pre-rolls, so you can
Yay, that's exciting.
light a culture joint with Ida.
Yes, ma'am. So are you in like dispensaries across the state, I'm assuming?
Yes,
No,
yes. The pre-rolls will only be available not online, but
no,
they'll.
your CBD is online.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. All the CBD products are available online, and even the ones that include Delta 8, because they're available online only.
Okay.
But I'm so excited to announce that Zerbos is picking up my line. So if you would love to shop at Zerbos Market
Oh
in
my
Livonia
goodness.
or Commerce, starting in about a week or so, my products will be available there. And Finding Roots and Howell, they'll also be carrying my products. So major thanks and gratitude to them, because I have people, most of my items ship from Michigan, unless you're ordering Delta 8, and that has to come from Indiana.
Mhm.
But people ask me, well, is there a place I can go and just pick it up? And like, so now I can at least say there are some places you can go and pick it up. And Green Genie in Detroit has always carried my entire line, and a huge thank you to them. But it's, as Detroit continues to work through their ordinance, right now you still need to have a med card to go inside Green Genie. If you want culture products, they will bring them out to you. um,
Oh,
mhm,
nice.
yeah, and that's with any CBD product. It's just not just
Okay.
mine, but
Okay.
Green Genie. I mean, they will, if you want to buy CBD products and you don't have a card, they will allow you. They will bring it out to your car, so
That's
you don't have.
really that's good to know. Yeah,
Yeah,
Alvin's a really good guy.
he's a fantastic guy. He's been my mentor, and he's been a great friend and supporter. It's funny because most places, just provisioning centers, don't like to carry CBD because it doesn't necessarily sell there. People don't go to provisioning centers to look for CBD. But he was like, "Q, I'll just take everything." I was like, "What if it doesn't sell? So don't put my stuff on the clearance rack." You know. Um, but no, he's always
Like,
been a
I got
yeah, yeah. So he's been a fantastic supporter and friend. So, which we
that.
need in this industry. It's a tough industry. And so when you find people who are willing to work, with you and have a compatible relationship, it's worth everything. So
Yeah.
I've had fantastic people in the, select Cureleaf, Alyssa and Izzy. Those people have always been a major supporter of my educational goals, because they'll help me pay for tea parties, you know,
Yes,
and
let's talk about
yeah,
these tea parties.
yes, yes, and I'm excited and sad to say that my my upcoming one on Saturday is sold out. It's sold out. It's oversold. So
Well, but that's
um,
not necessarily a bad thing, is it?
it's not. But now I'm like, oh my god. So
It's crunch time though, all of a sudden.
right, yeah, yeah. It's crazy, but it's cool. We used to have them as nice little intimate get-togethers, but this will be the largest one yet. So over 160 people.
Oh my god.
Um, yeah, so we're gonna have a good time, and we're gonna learn a lot. We're gonna eat some fantastic food by Chef Sunflower. We're gonna listen to the beats by DJ Moonbeam. Yeah, so yeah, and Nurse Kathleen is always great to tell us all the ways we can use cannabis to feel good or have a good time. So,
How did you come up with the idea for tea parties?
and actually, in talking, well, Oprah magazine. I'm not
Oh,
gonna lie.
okay.
I stole this idea.
I love it.
Like, I stole, and it's like, and it was from years and years ago. The O magazine had a story on cannabis tea parties, and there's all these, like, this beautiful spread, these people and their hair is all done, and beautiful dresses. It was a really pretty, it was really pretty imagery, and not the typical imagery that we commonly see when it comes to cannabis products, because it's always the same. It's like, if you're not a rapper, if
Right.
you're not a young lady with a sleeve of tattoos and purple hair, you feel that this industry isn't for you. You don't see yourself reflected.
Right.
And so, if you're, I cannot tell you how many times I've had to say to random 73-year-old lady, okay, look, here's what I want you to do. I need you to go to a provisioning center, and I need you to just don't even think about the fact that the girl's going to have purple hair and a bunch of tattoos. I know that's going to look very strange to you, but trust me, chances are she's been growing this with her grandma for since she was 5, and and, and she knows her stuff, so listen to her, even if you don't necessarily. It's okay. Oh, okay, okay. Listen to her, um, even if she seems unusual to you,
Mhm.
because and so but so it was nice to see that type of imagery in the cannabis industry, because it's all like, it's your name has to have little in front of it. So Lil Wayne, Lil Yachty, Lil somebody, or you're a very attractive young lady in Daisy Dukes. and
Right.
and so it's like, I got nothing against Daisy Dukes. Wear them, but that's not me.
Yeah.
And I like cannabis too. So it was nice to see that reflected in a really mainstream magazine. And
Mhm.
then I met Nurse Kathleen when we were working with municipalities and trying to get them to opt in. And Nurse Kathleen was sharing a story how she's a hospice nurse by trade and by training. And she was telling the city council that in her experience as a hospice nurse, what made her decide to get into the cannabis industry was that they had a patient who had come to be with them for hospice, and that person was given about 2 weeks to live, and the person wasn't eating though and having a horrible quality of life in this last stage of life. And so their an advisor said, you know what, just take some cannabis leaves and just boil them in some water and then strain it and just have them drink that. And they did that. He graduated from hospice and he lived 2.5 years. He still died of cancer, but to have a 2 week diagnosis versus a 2 year, prognosis, I should say, not prognosis versus, then that's huge, and there's something there. And so I was like, you know what, maybe I should, have some tea parties and show people that
Oh,
because if you drink cannabis tea like that, it doesn't get you high.
right.
No, it does so, but it has amazing medicinal properties, and people are learning and utilizing the benefits of that. So yeah, so I said let's. I always had that idea in the back of my mind to do that, and then the very first one was actually a customer appreciation when I was with Botanic, and so we had it at the Cannabis Council. Mark and Tom, no, Matt. Well, Matt and Tom is going to kill me. So yeah, Matt and Tom and all the great people at Cannabis Council in Detroit, they allow their legal office to be used as an event space for cannabis events, which is fantastic because
Yeah, it
we're
is a cool
supposed to
thing.
start doing that. And so we cleared out the yoga studio. We brought in some tables. Chef Gigi, who is a fantastic cannabis chef. She made a beautiful spread of infused and non-infused dishes, and Nurse Kathleen was there, and we had about 60 people at that one. And yeah, we learned about dabbing and why you may want to consider dabbing, and we didn't learn how to roll a joint, but we um, we learned how to why you may want to eat it, why you may want to smoke it, why smoking isn't always bad, you know. So yeah, it was a fantastic time, and so that evolved to curiosity,
Hmm.
because that was with Jess Jackson with the Copper House, and
Okay.
so she's also she's that Copper House is a bud and breakfast in Detroit,
Yeah.
and it's also an event space, a cannabis event space, and so we had Curiosity, and T was spelled TEA. And so yeah, so we kept it women only because it was we wanted it to be an intimate group, an intimate setting,
Mhm.
and we had each one was about 25 people, and we would pick a topic and we would talk about ways that you can use cannabis to help that issue or ailment, and I'll open it up to questions. We had infused food that I infused.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was fun. COVID happened, and so we switched to online.
Mhm.
We had online Zoom tea parties, and that's when Curaleaf and Select were a huge sponsor in that, and also 20 provisioning centers all over Michigan were a part of it, because we distributed culture kits, and so people could have they would go to their provisioning center and pick up their kit of cannabis.
Yeah.
and, and yeah, and we would all partake online and answer some questions, and that was cool. And
Mhm.
so we haven't had that in a while, and so now I've been trying to figure out, okay, how can we get back into this, and obviously we had the tea parties at the MICIA events, but those are for the industry. So
Right. But
um
just real quick, they are so beautiful.
hey, you guys do a great job. I can't take
Well,
credit.
you do a great job though too,
So
because you bring it, and
thank
they're
you.
they're just they're wonderful to be a part of, and to just witness, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you don't really think of a tea party until you're there and you're like, "Oh my god, this is so elegant."
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, we definitely try to have a good time, and have it be pretty, to have
Yeah,
those tea parties. I remember being a 3-year-old and having my little plastic teacups, and like, oh, one day I'm going to grow up and have a tea party.
it's
And
hilarious,
now I'm having tea parties.
right?
Um,
And I love when guys come up to me and they're like, "Pinkies up,"
right? Exactly.
because the men actually enjoy it too. They're the ones I think who look more forward to it than we do.
Right, and that's why I decided to go ahead and do this one, in a bigger venue, because so I can accommodate the fellas,
Yeah.
because I tended to keep them female only, but they're like, we want to know, and even I had one lady at when I was doing them at Copper House. I had a lady drive all the way from Flint because she was trying to help her husband's depression.
Wow.
We found some solutions, and it was a great story. And actually dabbing worked for him, but a dab pen, he was cool. But we found which strains and what to look for, and all of that. But I was like, wow. I mean, she was willing to drive from Flint to Detroit, and it was like 7 o'clock at night. These were evening parties, and I'm like, you're gonna like drive that far after, so she didn't partake.
Yeah, right.
There to learn. And so it'll be nice to have, just to have the guys there. So
Yeah.
Redemption Foundation is going to be there.
Okay.
The Craft Cannabis Club's going to be there. My flower sponsor, Waha Premier, they'll there. So yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm in talks with another sponsor, hopefully pretty soon, and obviously Green Genie has always been a sponsor, and so it's nice to have the support of the community.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, the support. I
Mhm.
love that. I'm so excited for you and for everything that you've got coming up and
Thank
everything
you.
you're working on. And I wish you, continued success. And we're at our hour mark, and I well, yes, but I don't want to stop talking.
And look, have them begging for more. So yeah, have them
We'll
begging.
have to do this again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, but thank you so much for joining me today and for, the little hiccup that we had for being patient with me and
Oh, no problem.
we
Always.
did Zoom.
No hiccup at all. No hiccup at all.
Uh,
Always great to talk to you and see you. And I'll see you Saturday.
yes, I will see you Saturday. Thank you again, Q. I
Thank
hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us on Light a Joint with Ida, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Peace.